You see it now?
We still see it in the browser window, not the slideshow view, but you could probably present.
How about now?
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I had to bring it over to my main monitor, I guess. All right, so here we go. So hopefully that wasn't too long of a delay. So we are a standalone college of computing at UNC Charlotte, and compared to some other schools in the state and even around the country, that makes us quite different because we're not part of the College of Engineering. And we don't have all those affiliated courses that engineers would have to take, things like physics and chemistry and differential equations. So that's a big attraction to students. Our majors are software development majors, so computer engineering is a bit more on the hardware side. So even if the concentration is software engineering, it's still software development pretty much. We also have a very strong business partners program, and in that information I shared with you, and I'll share it later, our business partners are listed there. And those folks are paying us money to come to our school to talk to, recruit our students for internships and jobs after they graduate. Our students are doing very well for internships. They're making, I ask my students, how much are you making? I know that's typically not a topic you talk about, but I can ask the students that. They're making $25 to $30 an hour in internships, and some of them are starting out at $80,000 to $100,000 a year for their first job, which is pretty amazing. Better than we're doing as advisors. So that's pretty exciting. Like I said, our business partners, and there's a lot of them, they pay us to come over here and recruit. Parents really like to hear that whenever we're talking to students. We are also a very diverse College of Computing and Informatics. We have in the state of North Carolina, we have the top number. We're number one for female student graduates in the state. We're number one for Latinx student graduates in the state. We're number two for African American student graduates in the state. And it's a very diverse college, a very diverse STEM college. I mean, of course, I would say the BIPOC percentage is still less than 30%. But as far as a STEM major goes, we are very diverse. We have a large number of dollars in funding from grants and other organizations who will help us provide undergraduate research opportunities for our students. So that's a big attraction for our students. And of course, being the advising director, we have the best advising team of any college probably in the state. But the way we do advising is we do provide individualized advising to our students in their first year and a half, 2 years in the program. And then individualized advising continues, but at the faculty advisor level once students move to upper division. So students get the individual attention they need to offer guidance and support all throughout college until they graduate. And then as they move up, they get a lot of support on working toward building their career portfolio and kind of helping develop their story. So some transfer admissions requirements, and admissions really does a great job of facilitating and managing this, but we have set a 2.5 transfer GPA as our requirements to get accepted to the major. And recently we have begun to require that students have a math course complete, specifically college algebra. And then if students have completed any computer science coursework, they do have to have a C or higher in that. If they have less than a C, typically they're denied admissions. Honestly, and Jamie can vouch for this, that there aren't a lot of students who are denied admissions. Many of them have that minimum algebra, and the GPA is typically not a huge factor. So a lot of our transfer students do get admitted. It doesn't really matter to us what associate's degree students earn. The AA is just fine because students get enough of the math they need in the AA. Like I said at the beginning, we're not part of a college of engineering, so we don't require the science sequence that maybe an AS degree would or an engineering degree would. So it really doesn't matter. And students come in with all different associate's degrees. Math does matter most, and critical thinking and logical problem solving and algorithmic problem solving skills are important in our major. So we have 2 degrees. We have a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science, and we have 7 different concentrations in the BS and 3 in the BA. And we get a question a lot from parents and family members and students and other advisors as well. What's the difference? And is it going to be a lesser of a degree if I choose the BA? The short answer is no. Our employers are telling us that a student who graduates with a BA or BS in computer science from UNC Charlotte has all the skills they need to start just about any entry-level job that they would offer. And it's because we have a strong core of courses required in both the BA and the BS that includes programming, logic and algorithms, data structures, operating systems, and those types of courses. So those are part of the BA and the BS. And then the BA gives the students a chance to focus on either human-computer interaction, a BA in bioinformatics, or IT, information technology. In the curriculum, the biggest difference between the two is the math level requirement. Again, the BA would offer or require a lower level math requirement, but employers are telling us students don't need calculus for the most part. And students don't need linear algebra or a high level of statistics. Now, we have been told statistics background is helpful with a lot of software developers, but not high calculus-based statistics. So the BA is becoming even more attractive to students, and we've had quite an increase in the students choosing, and they're very well qualified for the BS, but students choosing the BA track in IT. So our different tracks are over here on the side of the slide, and then that information is in many different places on our website and in the materials that I sent out. Transfer courses, you all have probably seen this list and you definitely have access to it. I put it in the course materials that I linked to at the beginning, but we had a little change on this. We used to count CSC 120 as ITSC 1212, and that has changed because there's been some investigation and evaluation of the CS 120s across the state, and they weren't always consistently taught the same way. So CS 151 is supposed to be Java 1, and CS 251 is supposed to be Java 2. Some schools may not be offering CS 251, and of course, some of your smaller schools may not even offer linear algebra or discrete structures. So we understand that not every community college is going to offer every course, but these are the transfer equivalencies here. Mentioned earlier, we have in our business partners program, just yesterday we had a career fair, and we have 2 career fairs in the spring. We have 1 internship fair in the spring. We have 2 internship fairs in the fall. We have meetups where students come in and talk, or businesses come in and talk to our students about just general information about working in their company. What's the day-to-day work environment like? How much money can you make? Are internships available? What qualifies for an internship or a particular job? These are really low stakes meetings where students can go in and kind of ask any question they want without having to worry about making a bad impression or jeopardizing their chance of getting an internship or something. We have industry panels that come in and talk, and Mark works with one of our introductory onboarding courses, and he has a lot of folks from our business partners come in and our University Career Center come in and talk to those students. And all transfer students would take the class that Mark teaches. It's called Computing Professionals. We have a number of tech talks. In the mentorship program, there's a lot of focus on women in computing in the mentorship program. We have a corporate mentoring program where students get paired up with some of our volunteer mentors that work for Bank of America, Wells Fargo, TIAA, Centene, and those large companies, and is a really great opportunity for students to get connected, and in some cases they can go out and shadow those mentors as well. And we have a number of different conferences that we can sponsor attendance to, whether it be a virtual conference or an in-person conference away from campus. We do have opportunities for undergraduates to go to some of these particular conferences. We have a great student services team within our college. The university has a great student services team for things like tutoring and supplemental instruction, but we do the same in-house for our courses. So we have an in-house tutoring program for some of our beginning level courses. We have a great Dean's Ambassadors program that's a paid position for our students to do a lot of outreach to prospective students. If one of your transfers comes over for a tour, they may end up meeting with a Dean's Ambassador who would take them on that tour. Our Dean's Ambassadors participate in our many of our admitted students days and explore open house programs as well. We have a number of clubs and organizations. If you want to check all of them out, you can, but there's a couple of highlighted ones. Our 49th Security Division, a lot of our cybersecurity students will go into that, and it's really related to cybersecurity and ethical hacking and so on. And then Charlotte Hack is more of a software development type club, very active on campus. This is a small list of our business partners here and some of the information related to how students are doing after they graduate. This is, I think, it does say 2021 data, so maybe we've updated this, but I mean, these are huge companies, Fortune 500 companies listed here, but our business partners board probably has 30 business partners on it at least. And like I said, our students are connecting directly with these folks. Centene's not on this list, but that company has moved to Charlotte. Its headquarters are going to be in Charlotte, and that's another huge company that is becoming a big business partner for us. Just you know, our transfer students seem to be pretty happy here with us, and there's a couple of quotes from some transfer students. They come in different levels of preparedness, and it's more dependent on their work and effort that they've put in, not so much about what courses they did or didn't take. If they took a beginning level programming class and they have some basic math skills and they earn decent grades, if they're a good student at your school, they're probably going to be a good student at our school. We do teach our beginning level courses for if someone starts in our very first course and they don't have any background in computing, that's okay, because we teach our courses to the students who, assuming that they have no background in computing. So if you do have a student who's nervous about that and they're questioning whether they should choose computer science because they have no background, tell them it's going to be okay at UNC Charlotte. When they do have background, it helps a lot because they can advance a little quicker, or maybe they can you know, start off really strong with their academic GPA, and then in the future they may want to become a TA in a class and get paid for helping other students who take those beginning level classes. I'll wait till the very end to answer questions, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the data science team, and then we'll all answer questions together at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. And I am so excited to now hear from our School of Data Science.
Okay, hopefully I can get my slides working. Can we see?
Might have you turn your microphone up just a smidge.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes. Where are the settings? How is this better?
Much better, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Zoom like turns my thing down like every other time I join a meeting. Okay, let me reshare. Okay, but you could see that, hopefully.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to speak with you all, hear from you all, hopefully. And here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to introduce myself and Carly, who are our data science representatives on the call, talk a little bit about the history and culture of data science here at Charlotte, talk about what is data science, because most of you, I'm sure, have heard about computer science, and maybe a lot of you have heard about data science in recent years, but you may not know exactly what it is or what the difference is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Who our students are at Charlotte, and then admission requirements and transfer credit recommendations. So I'm Dr. Angela Berardinelli. I am a faculty member in computer science, and I am the undergraduate program director for the School of Data Science. And Carly Mahidi is our director of student services, and she is also on the call to answer any questions related to her realm. And a little bit about the history of data science at Charlotte. This is our first time participating in the Transfer Symposium because we're a very new program. So if you feel like you've sent students to us before, that may not be the case. You might be thinking of the data science concentration in computer science, which is a little different, and I'll talk about that. Our first class of students started in September 2020 in a soft launch. Meaning only students who are already at Charlotte are part of that inaugural class. And some of them will be graduating this spring in just a few months. So we're very excited about that. We are currently the only data science bachelor's program in the Carolinas. I talked to students who are admitted, several times a semester, and they don't realize that. They think that they've talked to someone at NC State or Chapel Hill who's going to give them a bachelor's degree in data science, and that's just not true. I think that there are some in the initial stages of planning right now at some of those larger institutions, but we are the first, and right now, we are the only option in the Carolinas. But we've been very intentional about designing this program, as some people are saying in the chat, to meet a need for our students and for employers in the region. One major thing we do that is different from even the few existing bachelor's level data science programs in the country is that we use what's called studio style teaching and learning, which is more like an art or an architecture class than a computer science class. And we team teach those courses. So they're not only hearing from computer scientists like me, they're also hearing from criminal justice and criminology professors, from political science professors, from communication studies professors, from social work professors. And I'll talk a little bit why that is when I get into what data science is and why that makes a lot of sense. We also are in the beginning stages of some opportunities for studying sports analytics, which I know is huge for a huge draw for a lot of students. Right now, we have just a few elective courses in sports analytics. We are in the final stages of getting approval for an undergraduate certificate in sports analytics, and we are in the beginning stages of planning a full-on bachelor's degree in sports analytics. So there are some exciting things in the works that aren't like student ready yet, but we do have at least one faculty member on campus who's totally dedicated to sports analytics. And so we do have some exciting opportunities there. In terms of a timeline, the School of Data Science itself was officially established recently in January 2020. And it is also the first and only School of Data Science in the Carolinas. But it has grown out of a longer term initiative here at Charlotte called the Data Science Initiative, which has been around at least 10 years. Maybe Carly knows the exact year. But that initiative initially prioritized graduate education and research collaborations. So we're really excited that now that we're a full-on School of Data Science, we can offer opportunities at the undergraduate level. And then a little bit about the School of Data Science. We have over 80 faculty from 5 different colleges and over 20 different departments or disciplines. So it's a very diverse group of faculty who are working with our students in many cases one-on-one, even undergraduate students. So what is data science? It involves applying some programming and computing and some math and statistics to something else. And so the data science concentration in our computer science degree, which you saw on Kevin's slides, that's one of the BS concentrations. That concentration is going to focus on the green and yellow here, mostly the yellow, just the computing side. There are some math and statistics requirements, but primarily it's focused on the computing aspect. Our full bachelor's in data science focuses on the whole big picture. So as I said, we team teach all of our core data science courses. So we're always applying what the students have learned to a problem that needs solving, whether it's in political science or criminal justice or social work. We mostly take on right now data science for social good problems. So we do at the university, you'll probably hear from them later today, we do have a business analytics degree. So we're not, the data science degree is separate from that as well. We're not about data science for optimizing marketing and business. Our data science degree is about really improving society, improving the world that we live in. But you get all of the math, statistics, computing skills you need to apply it to any field. So a student who does want to take this into a high-powered business that's very driven by profit margins and whatnot, they could still succeed in this degree and then take that to the business world. There's lots of opportunities for applying these skills to any domain, and every industry is hiring data scientists right now. So we tell our students, they ask, what job can I get? And I'm like, well, whatever kind of job you want. Just the other day, I was talking to a student who asked where I get my cute clothes. And I said, well, I get them from Stitch Fix, and they have a giant machine learning engineering team and a huge data science and algorithms team. And so in fashion, even, there are opportunities for lots of data science jobs. This is a slide I often share with students, and I thought might also be helpful in contextualizing data science. Everything you see on this slide involves data science algorithms. So recommendation algorithms like what should you wear, or what should you watch, or who should you be friends with? Logistics, so how do things get from point A to point B without crashing or being late? Those problems have gotten even harder during the pandemic, of course, but those ways that people are moving products across the world all rely on data science algorithms, as do some newer technologies and arguably more controversial technologies like facial recognition technology and autonomous or self-driving vehicles. This also brings us to another focus of our program at UNC Charlotte that is different from all other programs I've seen in data science across the country so far, which is that, so facial recognition technology, for example, is very controversial because it's very biased. The algorithms that are trained to recognize faces are not recognized or are not trained to recognize dark-skinned faces appropriately. They just haven't been. There's been some progress very recently, but most of the already deployed and out there technology is not equitable. It's not equal across everyone that's trying to use it. And so our program infuses across the entire curriculum, not just how to do data science, but when should you do data science? When should you be applying these algorithms to a problem? And when are the risks outweighing the rewards? And so a lot of computing programs, a lot of data science programs just have like a course on ethics, and they expect you in 15 weeks to be like, yeah, I know how to do this for the good of others. Whereas we really go deeper into the ethics of data science throughout the entire curriculum, and we've collaborated with our philosophy department on this initiative. We're taking it very seriously to teach our students from day one, not just how to do the computing and the math and the statistics, but how to think about the implications of implementing and deploying the computing and the math and statistics. So a little bit more about who we hope to welcome into our program and who we already have. We want to bring into our data science program any student who is interested in answering interesting questions using data-driven evidence. So we are, although the College of Computing and Informatics is one of the 5 colleges that supports the School of Data Science, they aren't the only one. So we're not only looking for math and science people. We want any student who's like, yes, I can see myself wanting to make arguments about answering interesting questions or solving interesting problems or making, good recommendations for the way forward in our world using data. So that's who it's for. And because of that, we don't have, when I jumped on the call, I think Jamie was just talking about how program requirements might be different from university requirements. Ours are not. Our program admission requirements are the same as admission requirements to the university. So if the student gets into the university, they are into data science if they want to be. In terms of recommended paths into data science from your schools, if the student will graduate with an associate degree, just as Kevin said, it doesn't matter which associate degree for us. These students are considered general education exempt at Charlotte, and they will be able to complete the data science degree in a 2-year sequence as long as they're calculus ready. So they don't have to have completed calculus coming in. If they've done college algebra, that would be fine. But I do want to emphasize here, because our program is new and the way we're teaching these studio style courses can be hard to staff, we only offer our core courses in fall or spring. And so students can only complete that 4-course sequence in order: fall, spring, fall, spring. So if your student is wanting to transfer in the spring, that's fine. They can take some other courses besides our data science core courses that are towards the major and towards the degree. They just would need to be aware that 2 years for our degree doesn't necessarily start the day they transfer to Charlotte. It's got to be fall, spring to complete that 4-course sequence in order. Generally speaking, so if you have students who are going to transfer after only a few semesters and maybe not finish their associate's degree, here is a maybe more confusing version. I liked Kevin's table. I'm going to definitely edit this slide afterwards and make it more like a table like Kevin's. My recommendation for students who are transferring into our degree without a full associate's degree would be get as much gen ed as possible. And then if they want courses that are directly transferring into their major requirements, here are the ones that I recommend. Intro statistics, and I have the course numbers here. Calculus, or as I said, calculus ready. So college algebra or pre-calculus to get them ready to take calculus when they're here is also great. Discrete math, and then we require in our major Intro CS2, but not CCI's Intro CS1, because we have an alternate pathway into that course that is specifically through data science. And so students can count the Intro CS1, the Java programming 1, towards their degree, but it wouldn't count towards the data science major. So that's probably the biggest difference in terms of Kevin's slide about what transfers and my slide about what transfers, is that transfers as credit, absolutely, but not towards the data science major.
And Angela, if you don't mind me jumping in, we've got a couple questions in the chat.
Yeah.
So Joy, you have a great question. Pardon me, but I'm not as familiar with the community college.
I can help you.
Okay, can you tell me what the Math 172 is?
Sure. So at the community college, there is Calculus Math 263, which is our 1120 here at Charlotte. And then there's Calculus, which is Math 271, which is our 1241.
1241.
So the Math 172 would be equivalent to 1103 here at Charlotte. So for you all at the community college, the Math 1120 at Charlotte is what's needed for data science, which means students at your community colleges, they can do Math 171 and then go straight into Math 263. And that is the calculus course that is needed for the data science program. So they do not have to do 171 to 172 and then 271. They can do the 171, 263 sequence instead for this major. So that is, I would say, you know, if they are already on track to do the 171, 172, 271 sequence, that's perfectly fine. But if your students are not on that pathway and the 171, 263 sequence is available, that is perfectly fine for this major here.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. We get asked that a lot. Do we have a preference over which calculus? No. We'll take either one. If you're coming to us, I think more of our students are drawn to our 1120 for what it's worth, because again, that pre-calc isn't required. I tend to see more engineering, maybe more hard sciences, maybe even computer science students that have that 1241. And if they switch to us, that's absolutely fine. So calculus is what we're looking for. And again, they don't have to have that when they come to us. We hope that they're calculus ready when they get to us. But even if they aren't, we have a pathway for them. So I think Dr. B did a good job of reiterating this. I like to think of our degree as being for everyone. So there's no expectation you have any prior knowledge, any programming, anything. We are going to teach you that on day one. And as Dr. B mentioned, for our students, they don't take that Java Programming 1, that is intertwined in our Studio 1. So they'll take Studio 1 and then they go into Programming 2. There's also some questions about the community college associate degrees. So as long as they're earning an associate's degree, they're gen ed exempt. And maybe Jamie, you can jump in.
It will need to be an associate in arts, associate in science, or associate in engineering. So those are the approved associate degrees. There's not a preference for this major. So what I would tell you all as you're working with students, place your students in the associate's degree that allows them to take the majority of these recommended courses that you're seeing here on the screen. If the associate in science is going to have them taking significantly more natural sciences and math, then they don't need to have that associate in science. They could do the associate in arts, but it does need to be a transferable associate degree. So the associate in arts, associates in science, or associate in engineering.
Yeah, and if you have a student who's extremely math averse, to be a data science major, they're going to have to take the math courses eventually. But if they just don't feel ready yet, I mean, we can sort of get them up to speed when they get here. It's not that they can't transfer if they don't have these courses. It's just if they're looking for courses to take that will count, these are the ones I recommend. But if they don't feel ready yet, that's okay.
And Dr. B has done a great job of making pathway plans for all walks of life. So I put a link in our chat. We have on our website, we have a traditional 4-year, here's what it would look like for your students in 8 semesters, right? Being mindful that our studios, Studio 1 is only in fall, etc. We also have, and this is the link I just put in the chat, what I would call transfer guides. So we have a 4-semester guide that is for a student who has their gen ed complete, who is calculus ready to start our studio sequence in the fall, and how to do that in 4 semesters. We have what I would call, I don't know, maybe a 3-year plan, which is you're coming in as a transfer student, but you're not calculus ready yet. So you might need to take algebra, take some gen ed, get ready to take calculus in that 2nd year, and then again, start that studio sequence. If you're a spring start, again, what that would look like in terms of having a full schedule and starting that studio sequence in the fall. So all of those maps are on our website, and hopefully that's helpful to students who are thinking about transferring.
Anthony, excellent question in the chat. We already have an articulation agreement with Wake Tech's data science program. Yeah. So you're good to go.
I'm going to put that in the chat as well. Yeah, and so Wake Tech has a really unique program, the AAS. Our executive director has created a pathway for students knowing what is required of that AAS degree and how that's going to transfer here, and that is that link I just put up.
But for all other students, the transferable associate in arts or associate in science is going to be the preferred.
Yes, we specifically have an articulation agreement with Wake Tech for this program, so that's why it's not a general Charlotte thing. Yes, thank you for the link, Carly. And actually, that was the end. So yeah, questions now.
Thank you all.
Just so you know who's on the slide here. Here's our website for the data science school. Dr. Doug Haig is our executive director. So feel free to reach out to him if you have big picture questions or even teeny tiny questions. He's very, very hands-on. and these are our official titles. This is usually the slide I use with students, but that's my email address and Carly's email address there.
I want to add one thing, not to confuse matters much in regards to math, but if a student is thinking about coming here for computer science and they think they want to pursue the BA, then the Math 171 and Math 263 is enough for the BA. However, students change their mind quite often, as you know, so taking the higher level math sequence would benefit them just to be safe in case they decided on the BS. So if they have the opportunity to take Math 171, 172, and 271, that's great, or as much of that sequence as possible.
I think that that's such a good point. We see students do change their minds. And so that is a great addition there. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to see if there's any final questions that come in to the chat, or if anyone has any final questions before we break before our next session. But we do thank you to our College of Computing Informatics. Thank you to the School of Data Science. Thank you all so much for being here today and sharing this information with our wonderful North Carolina Community College partners. I am so excited that we were able to feature you all in our morning sessions today. For those of you that are tuning in, know that we will pick back up in the same Zoom link right at 11:30. That is an opportunity for you to hear from our School of Professional Studies, who is going to share some information about our new online programs. So if you have students interested in online programs, our School of Professional Studies will be presenting at 11:30, and you can tune right back into this exact same Zoom link. But I want to give everyone their time this morning. Go have another cup of coffee. Thank you for being a part of our Transfer Symposium, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon in some additional sessions. Have a great week, folks.